Welcome to BIMS TV. I'm Ileana Fenwick, and today I'm taking a bite out of marine communities responding to climate change. So when I say climate change, I'm referring to the concept that our planet's long-term climate and weather patterns are shifting. And these shifts are causing a disruption in our planet's systems. And so some of the causes of climate change include rapid industrialization and energy use. So we're using more energy now than ever. And unfortunately, a large percentage of that energy still comes from unsustainable sources. Also, climate change is caused by deforestation and human resource extraction, and also agriculture. These practices include large amounts of pollution and greenhouse gases that are released into the atmosphere annually and perpetuate climate change. And so some of the impacts that our marine systems and our terrestrial systems alike have seen in response to climate change are increasing temperatures. So we're seeing that average temperature increase from what it has been in the past. We're also seeing an increase in the frequency of extreme weather events. So events like hurricanes, droughts, marine heat waves are all happening at a higher level and more intensely than they ever have before. And also we're seeing changes in ocean chemistry as our atmosphere's chemistry changes, and so does our oceans as they interact with one another. We're also seeing sea level rise and land and habitat degradation that are leaving our coastal and marine communities more vulnerable than ever. And so in response to climate change, scientists have continued to want to understand how are our species responding to this change. And more often than not, scientists have taken a single species approach. And so what I mean by that is they'll ask the question about one organism. How is this species responding to climate change? However, one caveat to this approach is that nothing happens in isolation. And that is where assessing marine communities comes into play. Here, we're going off of this understanding that interactions shape species responses. And I say that because when we're looking at marine communities, and when I say community, I'm referring to an interacting group of species in a common location, but there are a number of community interactions that impact how an individual species responds. And that includes the predators that are present in the species and whether they're eating that species or not, where that species food source is coming from, the habitat viability, how well can it live in the habitat that it's in currently, and also its temperature preferences. And all of those things, taking into account, impact not only the individual species, but also the community as a whole. And so the reason that we're pushing forward the application of asking these questions on a community level is because exploring how communities change is powerful knowledge. Communities provide ecosystem services. Communities provide jobs, they provide food, they provide habitats and resources for other marine organisms. And so being able to understand how these communities are changing over time is critical as we begin to evaluate how is climate change impacting our marine systems, how do we as humans need to continue to mitigate that, and how can we reduce the risk for our marine communities moving forward in the future. And so some of the ways that we as scientists have taken to understanding community change over time includes looking at changes in community composition. So who's in the community, how many are there, and when were they there? And so that information is collected through surveys. So you can go every single year and check who's there, how many, and what time you did that survey. But there are other sources as well that include indigenous knowledge and going to the sources that have worked and lived in these systems for many, many generations. And also we can use mathematical models and analyses that are able to put numbers to these systems and help us understand increasingly complex areas and places like marine communities that may be hard to reach or where we may not have the same types of data availability. And so again, we want to know about these community resources and how we can predict the future, and understanding the past helps us do that. And so some of the reasons that this is a focal point of research for marine scientists and for researchers that are trying to answer questions about climate change is because we want to be able to model how communities are responding in increasingly increasing high temperatures and climate and risk scenarios. And then also we want to be able to help the communities that are impacted and mitigate those impacts and be able to help the vulnerable communities that are being able to anticipate how climate change will impact them. And also we want to be able to inform management and policy decisions. It's important that the stakeholders and the people who are making these decisions have an accurate way of understanding how communities are changing. And all of that can further inform our understanding of how individual species are moving as well. And so that's where we come in. There are scientists like myself who are passionate about answering questions about marine communities and asking these questions in a number of different systems. And so here I have some photos from the different places that I've been able to work with. This is me on a beach in Santa Barbara, California. This is me 80 feet under the water in French Polynesia. And here I am on the coast of Virginia looking at the phytoplankton communities that are there as well. And so there are a number of scientists who are interested in asking these questions at a community level. And I want to thank BIMS for the opportunity to talk about that today. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to contact me at any of these or ways to connect below. And also I want to thank BIMS for this opportunity, and please like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure to support the BIMS community in any way that you can. Thank you.